My name is Amy Humphris. I am a lecturer in human resource management and research methods. Within Chrome, my research is mainly focused on occupational regulation. So I look at the impact that licensing, certification, accreditation and registration has on the labour market. In particular, I'm interested on wage effects, employment levels and skill shortages and gaps. Occupational licensing covers all of the occupations which have a legal requirement for entrants to hold a licence. These licences mean that the occupation is closed to only those that meet the entry requirements. Recent examples of occupations that have become licensed include security guards, nursery school workers, and of course we have the long-established occupations which are licensed, such as doctors, nurses, lawyers and so on. Now, if we take the case of security workers, in order to legally be a licensed security worker, you have to pass the Security Industry Authority test and obtain your license by having a clean criminal record and having appropriate language skills. Occupational regulation is a long-established labour market institution. Unfortunately, compared to other labour market institutions such as trade unions, occupational regulation is vastly under-researched. Initially, we had no idea who was licensed or certified in the UK, so we didn't know the prevalence of regulation. Following on from this, a natural progression is to start to look at the impact of it, particularly when we consider the impact on skills. We know in the UK that we've suffered skill shortages in the labour market, and if licensing and certification have the ability to raise skill levels, then it might be utilised in a way to overcome these skill shortages. The impact of regulation varies vastly occupation to occupation. It's only occupations where we've seen recent changes in regulation status that we can really analyse the impact that the regulation has. In the cases of security guards and nursery workers, both of which were regulated within the last 15 years, we see that regulation does have the ability to increase skill levels in terms of qualifications. What is interesting is in nursery school workers, this relates to NVQ levels, so actual academic qualifications, whereas with security guards, the benefits of quality or relating to quality come from having a clean criminal record. So it's tackling the type of person that starts work within an occupation. Since undertaking my PhD, which I've subsequently completed, I've been part of 3 different research projects, 2 funded by the Department of Business, Innovation and Skills within the UK, and the last one funded by the EU Commission. All of these bodies are interested in regulation, firstly because it covers so much of the working population, but also because, as I said before, it can have a big influence on skill levels. From the EU Commission's point of view, it can also affect mobility across EU countries. If, for example, a dental assistant is licensed in the UK but not in France, those working as a dental assistant in France are unlikely to move to the UK because they don't meet the entry requirements. Many EU countries, such as Poland, have undergone deregulation in recent years. The primary motivators for doing this were to increase mobility between occupations. If a country is heavily regulated, once you obtain your licence for one occupation, you are less likely to move to another one because you effectively have to start from scratch. Within the UK, we have not seen any deregulation. In fact, we've seen a slight increase in licensing. This is predominantly because we didn't have a large base rate to begin with. Now the initial groundwork has been done in the UK, it would be very interesting to undertake some comparative work. Firstly in the US, where the regulation system is quite different to ours in the UK. And secondly within the EU, where the variety of countries and different regulation regimes would provide a valuable insight in how maybe the UK could better its regulation or what can be learnt from us to other EU countries.